Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Friday, November 1st, 2024. More than 4.5 years of Torah every single day. Thanks, Penny. 1,166 broadcasts later, we are going strong. Finding each other every morning, saying good morning to each other, learning together, sharing where we are in life, wishing each other a Shabbat Shalom. It is beautiful to have been able to create this community 1,166 times with you all. Let's see who's here. Natalia, good morning. Kate, Boker Tov, good to see you. Meirav, welcome. Debbie, sending love all the way to Colorado. Jonathan, good to see you. Hi, Barry. Jacqueline, good to see everybody. Please, as we're coming in, let's wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. It's lovely to see all of you. Kim and Tara, Deborah and Amy, Cecile and Lydia, good morning, friends. Hi, Lily. Hi, Arlene. Let's take a breath, get ready for a blessing, learn some Torah. Hi, Natalie. Arlene, today is your mother's 18th yahrzeit. May her memory be blessed. Let's dedicate today's Torah to her. So good morning, everyone. I see that Amy, today is also your sweet mother's 17th yahrzeit. You and Arlene share this sacred day. Your mothers both have their yahrzeit today. So Amy, also to your mother, may her memory be a blessing. Let's dedicate today's Torah to all of those we love and those we've lost. Beautiful to see all of you. Let's learn a little bit of Torah for Parshat Noach, which we'll be reading in Shul tomorrow morning. Noach is this complicated story that we have looked at all week with different dimensions. The whole idea of the flood, how to understand God, how to understand human agency, to think about kindness and cruelty. All of this, friends, all of this swirls in the flood. But there's a part of the story that often doesn't even get mentioned because the flood and its aftermath and what precedes it are so compelling and troubling. But right after the flood, friends, right after the flood, in chapter 11 of the book of Genesis, we read of Migdal Bavel, the Tower of Babel. And it is very confusing. There are some elements of it that, logistically or in the imagination make sense. For instance, after the flood, it makes sense that the human community would come together to build a tower so they could stay above the rushing waters. God forbid there should be another flood. They would build a tower. But you know what's really interesting about where they built the tower? They built the tower in a valley in the land of Shinar. Think about this. Big flood. So you're going to build a tower to survive, God forbid, a second flood, no matter what God has promised. So you build a tower. Where did they build the tower? They built the tower in the valley. That makes no sense. The entire story is so confounding, especially the very beginning, because here comes the whole community. The whole community. Not only that, the verse says it, Vayichol haaretz, and everything on earth, safa echat udvarim achadim. One language. And you could say dvarim achadim, the same words, or you could say they thought the same way. There was a kind of conformity is the simplest way of saying it. You could say unified. And what did the human community together, collectively, decide to do together? Build a tower. Now, the text on its own is confusing enough. God or angels saw what they were doing and said, we can't let this continue because they'll reach heaven, they'll be here. They'll be like us, be like divine beings. Sounds like the same worry about the tree in the Garden of Eden just a few chapters ago. And so God confounds them, and that is the birth of multiple languages. But in that birth of multiplicity is also great division. The people do not understand each other anymore, and they become dispersed. And that's the birth of humanity as we experience it, with radically different experiences, different ethnicities, geographic locations, political orientations. In the week leading up to the American election, this week, we understand how discombobulating difference can be. And obviously, I can speak with urgency, and we should, about taking our place in a society where we do not all speak the same language and we do not all see the same things, but aspiring to a moment where we can understand each other. We can make decisions that will bring us closer together. But what I want to do is amplify the worry about the Tower of Babel for a second, because the rabbinic imagination sees this as a moment to make several points. And you can look this up if you'd like in a wonderful book called Tree of Souls, edited by Howard Schwartz, where he collects a lot of different legends and stories. In this midrash, it's a weaving together of ancient midrashim, the people build the tower. And they didn't only build it to survive, God forbid, another flood. That's why some built it. Some built it to take vengeance on heaven for having sent a flood in the first place. The radical suggestion in this fantastic midrash, meaning a fantasy, is that when they reached as high as they could, they shot arrows into heaven. They shot at heaven. And we can understand after loss being so consumed with rage that you would do that. You made this terrible thing happen on earth. But what's really important to understand, and I'm not suggesting this is simple, but what's really important to understand is that the flood happens because of human cruelty. Shooting our arrows at heaven is misplaced anger. We shouldn't shoot arrows at anyone. But if we are looking at the cause, the source of the destructive elements of our world, we have to look in the mirror. We have to understand that we brought the flood on a moral level. And we built a tower in a valley thinking we would survive. That's not how it works. And so ultimately, one of the big lessons from this week's Parsha is we can make it better. Can't build a tower that will save some of us. That's not what it is to be human. Can't shoot arrows into heaven thinking that will make a difference and our children will live in a better world. There's only one thing to do. We have to learn about each other more. We have to listen to each other more. We have to, as Kim is amplifying Rachel Goldberg's prophetic message, we have to remember that hope and kindness are mandatory. We can prevent the next flood. We must prevent the next flood by flooding the world with more understanding. We won't all speak one language, and in fact, the diversity of human experience is precious. The multiplicity, the almost infinite, maybe infinite, variability of the image of God is extraordinary. We have to try to understand each other through our differences, to make the human experience richer by being present and not thinking that we can build a tower. Because ultimately, no matter how tall you build your tower, that doesn't make you great. What makes us great is the possibilities of connection, of understanding, of empathy, of solidarity. We will never be one human people with one language. It doesn't work like that. But what a gift it is to be very human and to use everything at our disposal to understand each other more deeply. I bless us this Shabbat, especially to those of us here in the United States, which is not everyone in our community, but especially those of us in the United States during a very trembly week to come, to remember that we have the capacity to make things better. I bless us to remember our enormous potential to make things better, to do some good listening, and to make good decisions, and to remember that only a tower that holds everybody is worth building. Shabbos is coming. Let's do a little special singing for Shabbos. Friends, on this 392nd day of war, on this 1166th broadcast, on Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, let's send our hearts to the east. Kol hol baleva pnima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach Kadima, Ain Letzion Sophia, Od lo avda tikvateinu, Hatikva bat shnot alpayim, Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu, Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim, Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu, Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. Chodesh Tov, friends, a good month. Shabbat Shalom. See you on Monday.